Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Gary?
Good.
Wow. Positioning my camera in front of the screen.
Well, how's everyone doing today?
Hello, Amy. Wonderful. Let's see. How about you?
Good. I'm not going to use my camera today. I got a sunburn, like, a Texas-sized sunburn.
Aight. How do you feel? When did you catch it yesterday?
Pardon me?
Did you catch it yesterday?
2 days ago. Yeah, so it's all itchy and red and peeling.
Well, it is warm in Texas.
Yes.
Greg, good morning. You're good for today?
Yeah, I'm ready. Good morning.
Fantastic, thank you. We'll start for around 11:25, something like this, and give you ample time.
Okay.
Shoot for 20 minutes, but if it goes first 30, that's totally fine with Q&A and everything. So take your time.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Still getting used to you without the beard.
Yeah, I always shave in the hotter months, and then wear a beard in the winter.
Where are you located?
In New Mexico, Albuquerque.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the whole world is warm nowadays anyway.
Yeah, we have some pretty cold winters, though.
Yeah, I'm in Florida, so I'm not going to comment. People, 11:02, we're going to go ahead and get started. Shabir, how are you?
Hi.
Let me put screen slideshow. Bingo. All right, we should be ready to roll. All right. More people will join. I did find actually something pretty cool. The other day, last week, for the first time, I put the recording of the call on LinkedIn, and I had a couple of people ask me to join the call. So maybe something we can do on occasion when I pass the recording. I'll mention it at the end of the call. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. Yeah, other people will join. We have enough to get started. So thank you very, very much to be here here today, and happy Monday. So first we'll go in the news of the week, and Xavier will take us through that. It looks like every week is a revolution. It's a very fast evolution for all the progress. It's amazing. We never get bored. And then we'll talk about, we'll go into the stand-up, and we will, if anybody also has any challenge, any questions that they have for the audience that we can all together work on, that's the right time to do so. And then we are going to talk, Greg has offered to talk to us about how he has been using automation and AI to streamline his company. And he discussed that in parts in previous conversation. Today we'll have the opportunity to have a deeper dive into that and all learn and exchange ideas together. So Greg, thank you very much for that. And then based on time, and we will have the regular breakout rooms that you see on the screen here. So to continue the conversation with Greg, he will go on the room number 1, and then the different topic, business, ethics, education, tech, and health will be open. And that's the agenda for the day. Miguel, I see you're here. We'll do a quick poll. If I didn't put that on the agenda, we'll do a quick poll just before we switch to the main topic to see what other topics we want to dive in the future. So that's coming in 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and get started. Shabir, it's all yours. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Christophe. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and also good evening if people are joining on the other side. So it's evening here around 8:30 p.m. But very excited to share with the group some of the interesting stuff which happened. So I'd like to first start with a tool called as Phonely. I think voice AI agents have been there for a while, but Phonely is a new tool, relatively new tool, but I think it's looking way more promising because I think they're saying it is almost 99% like real human. One of the key challenges of these tools, the voice AI agents, if some of you have tried, are interested to explore, if anyone has tried Vapi or some of the existing tools around. But only is supposedly 99% more human compared to voice AI agents, and I think it looks very promising. That happened last week. The next news I have is OpenAI actually launched connectors. So now what has happened is these connectors are nothing but your connections to applications like Google Drive, and so when I say connectors, what I mean is when you're actually doing your chats, you can actually chat with these connectors. So it can connect to your Drive, it can connect to your Google Docs, Google Drive, and many other existing applications. Also, in case you would like to put in your own put on your own data source like your website, then you can actually set up like MCP. But very powerful stuff. Earlier, the only way you would probably do this, if you wanted to put a knowledge base, is you would create a GPT and then you'd upload a file as a knowledge base inside ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was missing this connector part, but I think luckily for us, they have introduced. Would be again interested if somebody explored that already. If not, currently it looks like what I've seen online, it's available in Teams and enterprise plans. But some of the people also saying available in Plus and Pro. I'm not really sure. I tried on my mobile, but still could not. I have a Plus plan, but I could not get it. So moving on from there, after OpenAI connectors, I think the next news I want to bring to the group is essentially, Sora. Sora, I think when it was launched almost a year ago, it was a big sensation. Now, if anyone of you want to have access to Sora, it's not available in the free plan of OpenAI. But if you want to explore that, then you can explore that through the Bing app. So you can install a Bing access, and Sora is now freely available in Bing. Of course, with some free credits you can explore. Anthropic, in an interesting news, actually, I put a news to the group a few weeks ago that Windsurf was acquired by OpenAI, and Windsurf's the primary AI model which it was using was Anthropic. And good or bad, I don't know what to say here, but I think Anthropic kind of cut off their subscription to uh, Windsurf because they were acquired by OpenAI. So interesting move by Anthropic. I think they just want to make sure that they want to work with companies which are not under OpenAI, but they cut off their subscription. So if any one of you are using Windsurf, or anyone using Windsurf, probably has go through this disruption. Good, bad, I don't know, but I guess this is how companies operate. When they see a threat to their business model, I think probably this kind of stuff in Silicon Valley is not an exception. This has happened. And the last news I want to bring to the group is now there has been, like, this not happened yet, but I think there has been some talks on some releases by Meta that in future, when they're launching new applications or updates on Instagram, Facebook, the evaluation of the updates will be judged by AI. So what I mean by that is, if Instagram comes up with any update, whether it is risk to the community, whether it's risk to the users, will not be decided by humans. It will be decided by AI. So I think that pretty much kind of wraps up last week's important news. Although a lot of things happened last week, but I felt these 5 news items were important and critical for the group to really know and discuss around here. But I'm really open to hear from others. If any news they thought was really important for the group, please bring it forward. Thank you, guys.
Gary, please go ahead.
Shabir, I have not used the connectors. I saw that same announcement, but I was wondering if you connect to Box or you connect to your email, is that out in open domain then? So you've really you're really sharing all of your knowledge base if you make those connectors. Am I correct on that?
Yes. So that becomes your context, right? So example, if you connect your emails, all your emails you can chat with. So earlier, the only connects we could have is if you uploaded a file as a knowledge base inside chat GPTs. But now it's kind of, you can chat with them in real time. I hope it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And I guess, Gary, you can still play with the security on ChatGPT to not share the data for training.
Yes, that's what they say. That's
Yes,
announced.
for now, for now.
Well, my other question for you was,
I
what are
think
you
Google said the
doing?
first time when they launched the email, we will never know what you put in your email. It's not our business. That was 20 something years ago, 30 years. Mark,
Matt Wolf
Yeah,
made a
hi.
comment about AI Theranos in India. What are you hearing in India about that? Is that a big deal, or did he overplay that?
You're talking about Builder AI?
I'm talking about the fake AI company.
Yes,
that was- yeah.
yes, that's the Builder AI, Builder.ai. Yeah, it's very. I can say. What should I say? I don't have any words for it, but it's freaking insane. What people can do for money, they can sell their souls. That's what I can say.
450 millions just to prove that there was no agent. There was just people behind it pretending to be agent. Yes. And they got money from
Yes.
Microsoft and others.
Yes. They raise money apparently from companies like SoftBank, Microsoft. I think this was the first news which Matt Wolfe kind of put out. Um, I think very. I think there are scams like this still probably not unearthed as well. It's probably not the only company out there doing this. I'm sure there are other. So if you, I would say that if you're not caught, then you are not a thief. So there might be much more people like them around. So we need to be careful. Yeah.
Thank you. Mark, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's kind of also related to the first piece. I'd be interesting to get a link to this to the connectors, but I kind of taken a different approach, which obviates some of the problems here. You know, what I call a proactive expert guided system, and the thing about it is that I'm working with GPT, and by integrating the API calls to my own database, I avoid having to pay for an LLM. All the information is integrated together with my own proprietary system, and it's all protected on a server. And so, and the interesting thing is, by taking this approach, you don't have the users of the software don't have to pay any kind of subscription or royalty to OpenAI. It's all free in the application. And so there's got lots of benefits. And, you know, I can build my own software bill of materials. There's no supply chain issues with it. It's all in-house. And I'm having a great time with it. It's just fantastic. And so the application, which surprising to no one who's been on these calls with me, it's a cybersecurity application.
What happened?
It measures your progress, and therefore it integrates subject matter expertise with the benefits of AI, and over time it tells you how you're going, which is another thing that these applications tend not to do. They don't measure progress over time. So anyway, that's how I related to it, but I'm still interested in understanding the integration that you mentioned.
Yes. I'll give you one more example, right? So HubSpot is one of the ready connectors. So if your CRM is HubSpot, right, then you can just put a check on the checkbox, and then all your CRM data is now queryable inside ChatGPT. And for the rest of the group and people who understand, the protocol being used is MCP. So MCP was put forward by Anthropic, and I think everyone else started to adopt it. But it is a mechanism through which you could connect your large language model with external data sources. So I think as an industry, everyone has adopted that now, including OpenAI. So you have OpenAI, Microsoft, Google as well adopted that. Anthropic was the one who introduced it. But that has become the industry standard now. And one more tip for the group, you should try is there is a way to add a new connector. You could add a new connector with this new feature. And so one of the use cases which I thought would be really good is when you are actually trying to create your marketing campaigns, or you need to reference your website and your own website information. Microsoft has launched something called as I think it's called as NL1 NL Web. You can Google it, NL Web. And if you just install NL Web on your website, then your website becomes MCP ready, and then you can use that MCP inside the newly launched connectors from OpenAI. So you could really reference your website in real time, instead of having to give the context again and again for your products and services, which I thought is a neat use case. But as I said, you could have MCPs for anything. Like HubSpot is one of the CRMs. I'm sure you could build in, like, since it's a standard, but it's a standard way where you can integrate. Yeah.
Cool. And Mark, just out of curiosity, so that's using the new connectors that you set that up, or are you using?
No, I've kind of avoided a lot of those things because I just don't want to have anything public at all. I'm very sensitive to software bill of materials and supply chain. So I don't know how these things are built, and I don't want to do that. I want to have, my subject matter expertise under my control, and avoiding having any of these new ideas. And if you want to do a thorough supply chain, it can cost millions of dollars to investigate, and it's not, unless you're someone like Deutsche Telekom, who I know have done that. That it's very expensive and very difficult, and you can't prove it. You can't
Yes,
do it.
but if you need to integrate more, if you need to integrate more, then definitely try out the MCP route. Of course, for your system, you worry about your data, but when you're looking to integrate maybe 5 other data sources, data sources could be, things like people who are doing financial applications, right? Then, there are sources for financial applications which give you like stock market data or the Fed stuff, for all that, you don't need to work. You just use MCP.
Right. Okay. Well, I integrate with a lot of external data and private parts of my own website. So, yeah.
Just so you know, I think in
It's
2 or
very
3
interesting.
Just so you know, for 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to do a MCP and AI agents talk. So I've been digging deep into MCP, and I've implemented about 12 different servers that I use, MCP servers that I use now, including one that I mentioned previously for accessing geographic or spatial data as well. So that one's been interesting. And then accessing SQL Server database, accessing RStudio. So in my case, I want to mix statistics and GIS, so geostatistics basically. So, but I want to be able to do that through Claude Desktop or through N8N or Make or things like that. So it's MCP's been really good for opening up the doors to sort of merging a lot of things together.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bill. So yeah, this topic will be in about 3 weeks, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. One of the topics we discussed in the leadership meeting. So if you have actually any insight you would like to bring to this conversation, feel free to touch base with Bill in the meantime, and maybe you can harmonize and several of you for.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Rick, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is just to build on what Shabir is doing. If you, when you cite something there, if you have a resource, a website, a podcast, whatever it is, so that people can go deeper into it. And I would extend that to everyone in the group. If you watch something, a podcast, or read something you think is hot, why don't we crowdsource our ideas so that, and then you can pick out the things that you want to go more deeply into. So just an idea for enhancing collaborative learning.
Absolutely. So I can see a lot of interest for MCP. I'd be happy to put a link in the group in our community. Like maybe people can explore that further. I'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
I was thinking actually in the chat now. So if it's there, you cut and paste that. It's already put it. Not this time, maybe next week, but anybody can put it in. Whatever's hot to them, whatever they got excited about, because crowdsourcing can enhance our collaborative learning.
Yeah, so absolutely. Thank you very much for bringing that to the attention, Rick. We discussed that as well on the leadership meeting on Friday. So if you have any desires, put them in WhatsApp, and maybe we'll create some groups, so that you can, whether on WhatsApp or whether outside the calls, and then you can come back on the call and, 3 or 4 of you work on the topic. So please start doing that. Also, in a few minutes, I'll send a prompt. Miguel will take care of that. Getting the prompt ready, Miguel. So some of the topics we'd like to see which one of them are of interest to you. So we have choices that to cover in upcoming weeks that will support everyone. So other questions and feedback on any of the news or news that you saw yourself that you would like to share with the team, or tools and or challenges that you are going through, questions for the team?
Yes, I want to share that I am watching one channel that is called AI Revolution. I'm going to, and in this, they get in many tools. They bring every day some video, but the last one was interesting because it was a new agent that is $10 only, and seems that is better than Manus. So it's called Deep Agent, and it's from Abacus. I don't know if someone have heard about it. No?
No.
Okay. Well, it seems very interesting, and I'm going to try it, and let's see next week how it works. And also, but you have to pay. You have to pay upfront $10. Okay.
$10 per what?
To use the
Is it a one time per month? Do you know?
yes, per month. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
that's basic.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, Magnus was already impressive. I think one of where is he? I can't see him on the screen right now. There's somebody, one of them. Yeah, Dr. Thomas, you have been using Magnus quite a lot, so you have another possibility now for maybe even a better tool. I do have a beginner question. Anybody has used these voice agents yet? And trying to, I've not, and I'm just trying to see, do you need to do like an NAN, or do you need to do like Zapier or whatever, or are they self-use? It's a beginner question. Anyone? No, not yet. All right. Please go ahead. I'm sorry. You raised your hand. Go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah, this is Connie.
Connie, yeah, we go. It took me a second.
No worries. I'm on my cell phone. Hey, I have somebody reached out to me here in San Diego. They've got a podcast company that they want to go interview businesses. And I'm just wondering if there's any value for me to talk about our team or anything that we want to promote, because it does give us some airtime. So, so instead of just talking specifically about my company, maybe there's some things collaboratively that I can talk about. And I don't know if that's something we want to kind of do in a separate meeting, just to see, what potential we can have. So this is something kind of new that I think this person started. I'm trying to do some more investigating as to his background, but he's been interviewing business owners for his podcast.
Well, first, congratulations on being invited to that podcast. Well done. And yes, by all means, please, if there's a way to squeeze in, and we have a website. I'm going to post the link in a few seconds. And if you can mention for yourself the benefits you get out of this, this group of entrepreneurs, we exchange ideas, we share, we collaborate together, and definitely. And when is that happening?
We still are in the process of setting up that schedule. So I don't know the exact date, but I'm hoping it goes into July, because I have a lot of commitments already in June. So possibly July or even August.
Well, Connie, one or two things then. If you can, please join one of the leadership meeting. If you can't, if you're too busy, just send me a WhatsApp, and in the leadership meeting, we'll draft a little something, send it to you, and see if you like it. And up to your comfort level, and we squeeze in maybe like a little 30 seconds on the benefit and what you gain, and certainly if it's the right audience, it seems to be.
Right. Yes. Definitely want to promote in any way that we can. So, but I just want to be, in line with what we want to communicate, so we don't get a flood of requests. I think part of it came up when I was LinkedIn. I made a comment. It was a journalist from CNN, and it had to do on manufacturing strategies. And I got 3,500 views and comments, several comments within that one day. So I think that's kind of what spurred on, like, oh, this person's getting a lot of visibility on her experience. So yeah, I want to leverage that in any way we can do that as a team.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. We'll review. We'll discuss on Friday as well. I see your point. If how many people will join, but let's take that idea and get back to you. And if you can join this Friday or another Friday, that would be lovely. Otherwise, we'll discuss it via WhatsApp. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. All right, it's 11:25. I want to give you ample time for Greg to go through his topics. So before, I didn't check chat. Was there any question in chat, first of all? No. have we had a working session using MCP? So Bill is going to do one early July. I don't know. I think you were, yeah. And if you want to share anything with him before that, please do so. The more the merrier. Thank you so much. All right, Miguel, part of the leadership meeting, we were talking about having a poll today. Go ahead, please. If you want to introduce it.
To make
I have the poll ready, but I'll let you do the intro.
okay, I'm seeing. Okay, what we're trying to do is to see which one of us is good in which or which areas or which tools are you using, so we can know who who of us are using which tool, so we can collaborate each other with that tool. Like if someone knows or is using a lot, I don't know, Notebook LM, you can contact me. If someone use, I don't know, like Lovable or an agent or Manus, so you can reach him. So the idea is to know who is using what, and then we can collaborate each other. Okay.
So unfortunately, I see, and maybe I did something wrong, but the poll only allows for one choice, I guess. So which one? My apologies on that. And I can redo it, I guess. Is there a way, Miguel, to do multiple?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right, let me end the poll and put it back, and I'll put it at the end of the call. This way will I'll give me a few minutes to work on it, and Greg can work. Yes. Can take us. Go ahead, Miguel, please.
This we can do this again next week. What I did, I share a link of ChatGPT that I put all the tools, and I asked ChatGPT to make it which ones are obsolete, which ones are new, and you can check that ChatGPT, and then we can make another one next week to see if that's better. That's only that. I think it's very good what ChatGPT return.
How do I put multiple? Is that make it a quiz? I don't know. All right, let me work on that in the background. Rick, you have a last comment?
Yeah, no, just a reaction. I was just thinking it would be nice to know what people are actually using on a regular basis. So, people using Plexi, Chat, whatever it is, what are you using most? Maybe just having a Google file where people write in what it is they're actually using that as a framework. And, when does a user become an expert? I don't know if I'm an expert in Perplexity area or not, because I don't know how good I am unless I meet with other people who are using it. So that might be another strategy to try and just say who are users, who are experts, and then, we can connect or, learn more sophisticated ways of using whatever tools that people are using.
Yeah, Rick, that's a great idea. And just to hop on that, not only in terms of people citing their level of usage of the tool, but also what their experience is, like what they like about it, what
Yeah, exactly.
find wanting. So do a little evaluation just in a couple of sentences. And
Yeah.
they don't need to be an expert. They just need to
exactly
a new user or have used it for a while.
So, my experience is that if you think that you're an expert and you're with other one, he will tell you one new thing that you don't know. So you will always learn.
Right, more expert than you.
Yeah. So the thing is to collaborate. That's the main topic.
Exactly.
Collaborate each other.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I said something once, and I can't remember who it was now. Said, "Oh yeah, I already do that." I said, "Okay, great." You just don't know when you're doing this learning by yourself. Is how much better could I be?
right.
Okay.
Maybe also another idea is if you're working on a project and you need some help, like you're working on
That's a good one.
something,
Yeah.
and you can just put it out there so people who might be able to help you could contact you.
All right, so let's do two things for today. I prepared the thing. There's multiple choice. Which one do you use the most is the first one. And then after Greg is done, I'll put the second poll. Which one do you want to learn on?
Okay.
Go ahead.
And
So you can
also with the polls, it would be good if you could respond to more than one.
You can.
You can now.
Oh, okay. I tried.
I fixed it on the fly. My apologies for the first.
I just did it again. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, everybody take a few seconds more. I'm leaving it on.
I don't see it.
You don't
It's
see
not
it?
on my screen. I don't see the poll on my screen.
Nobody
no.
sees it?
I see it.
I just
see
did it.
Yeah,
I
I
got
just did it. I think if you click on more, you can click on polls.
All right.
Is it? I don't see it in there.
Oh, I see it. It's come up. For some reason, it didn't pop up on mine. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Leave it for 30 seconds more and then we'll switch topic. Come on, how many people? 5 people so far. We can do better than that. 6, 7. Mark, was it a question or did you?
Well,
Question.
I was going to say that
And
I
Mark,
really
is what Dr. Thomas third. Yes, go ahead.
I think that this is why this call is so valuable. It's a collaboration, and people are using AI in all sorts of different ways. It's turned out that ChatGPT is now my project manager. It gives me a daily update on what I'm doing. I didn't expect to do that, but it's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of other purposes that people are using that they don't know, or why they are using some tools. What the advantages and disadvantages. This is why this call is so great.
Perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's two things that Suno. I don't see Suno on the list, and I don't see
Yeah,
Perplexity
I
AI.
see some of
These guys, these are examples. So just put the
Oh,
category.
okay. Okay. All right. That's
Dr.
fine.
Thomas, go for it.
Next week, we will have something better.
Yeah.
A better poll.
Version 1, MVP 1. Dr. Thomas, you have a question?
Yes, I was going to ask Shabir, as far as Sora, how long was the video? Or were they allowing you to create videos? Because Gemini is only 8 seconds.
Yeah, I tried one. I think it was only 5, 6, 7 seconds, something like that. I didn't really read the specific time. It was pretty darn short.
Someone knows
Alright.
how many seconds, how many time?
I'm
What
going
do you
to
say?
end the call in a few seconds, and then we'll switch to topic. And so, Greg, thank you so much for making yourself available. I'm looking for you on the screen. Here you are. And to discuss with us how you have been using AI, how you're using automation for your own company. So if you want to take us through a little bit, maybe even the before, after, a little bit how you set it up, and we'll have plenty of questions for you, I'm sure. Go right ahead, Greg, and you can share a screen if you want.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be on here and present this AI automation use case that we've implemented in my business. I've shared this with a few people in the past, and almost every time I do it, people are able to kind of connect this in ways that they might be able to use a similar workflow to do something else with this kind of sort of workflow. And so I'm going to get into this today and just kind of do a deep dive here, show you exactly what it is that this AI automation does and how it does it and how we built it. And we implemented this 1 year ago this month. So this has been operating in our business for a full year now. So it's truly battle tested, and it's been showing up for work every single day and doing its automation and adding value to the business now for a full year. And I'm sure everyone can remember a year ago this time, in AI time is quite a bit. The models we were using aren't even around anymore. ChatGPT 3.5 has been deprecated. So this was implemented back when the models were ChatGPT 3.5. And I built this entire thing using AI as well. So I can show you a little bit how I built that, or what tool I used to write this code to make this eBay automation. So basically, ABQ IT, my company, we're a full service IT company, but we're a division of Albuquerque Computer and Electronics Recycling Company, where we take in all sorts of electronics that have reached the end of life for their end users. And one of the most environmentally friendly ways and revenue friendly ways to handle end of life IT assets is to refurbish them and resell them if the market demand for those items is still robust. And so we've always had and maintained a large presence on eBay. eBay is the largest global market for used electronics. And so it's been an important part of our business to liquidate these assets, right? And in the past, it's always been a big challenge for us to hire employees that had the technical skills that, or we could train with the technical skills to do the refurbishing of the equipment, but also have the skills to, have good written communication skills, so they could write a really good description of that equipment, write a title, price it out, check all the right boxes, get it listed to eBay in a way that was going to accurately reflect what that item is, so the buyer's expectation was set. Also price it in a way where it was competitive, but we weren't leaving money on the table, and do a good job there. So we had really good feedback. As I'm sure aware, feedback is a really critical part of maintaining a profitable eBay store. And so, one of the things that we realized, we developed a methodology, and it's maybe a topic for a different day, on really how to spot different projects and things that you can be doing with AI and automate with AI. And one of the clues for us was the fact that employees were using AI every day for a specific task. And so we realized, over a year ago now, this time, that we had some of our employees that were already using ChatGPT right out of the box to try and help them formulate these better listing descriptions and titles for our eBay listings. However, when we sat down and we measured the time it was taking them, it was actually taking them more time using AI than the employees that could just sit down and write the title out, write a good description, kind of had more experience, knew what they were doing there. But the outcome was really good. It was very consistent, but just the time to take to sit there and prompt the AI and give it the data that it needed for that particular unit was just really time consuming. And so we decided to come up with this project here to address it with an automation. And so basically, I'm sure everyone can see my screen at this point. Just let me know if you can't. But the challenge, again, like I mentioned, was finding the staff with both technical expertise and the writing skills. And it was also time consuming. That was really the bottleneck, is the manual listing process of having to go to eBay, fill out all of the check boxes for their categories, write a really compelling, consistent title across different employees, write a good description. And so the goal was for us to leverage AI to bridge the skills gap and improve efficiency while handling a variety of different laptops. So when we first approached the team and told them that we were going to be taking on this AI automation within their department, we had a lot of skepticism, a lot of pushback from the employees, more than I expected, actually. And, some of the employees were really concerned that, we were going to automate away their jobs, and they weren't going to have a place after, they weren't going to have a job or a position there after if we pulled this off. And the eBay manager, the person running that department, was extremely skeptical that it could even be done. He really didn't think AI had the chops to be able to do this. And so the first thing we realized is we had to really overcome a lot of this initial skepticism, reassure employees that even if we did become extremely efficient with this, there is a career path within our workplace, if they want to expand their skills into areas like IT and cybersecurity and that kind of thing. But the way we approached it with the eBay manager was by sort of just kind of framing it as another employee. So yes, we were going to be introducing AI into the workflow, but just think of it as another employee. So the goal and really the requirement was not to disrupt anything that we were doing today. Business had to continue as usual, and we had to find a way to insert this automation into the workflow that wasn't disruptive. And so one of the ways we told the manager to think of this was as another employee. So if the AI messed up or made mistakes, he could sort of use like a disciplinary action form, just like you would with an employee. And we used these disciplinary action forms as a way to inform us when we needed to make changes to the AI, when it was doing something wrong or making a mistake or needed an update in the code. And we told him that if it, continued to make the same mistake repeatedly, just like an employee, it would get further write-ups up to and including termination. And if it didn't work out, we wouldn't be pushing this. It would get rid of it. It would stop the project, right? If we couldn't get it to work. And so that was one of the ways that we sold our eBay manager on working with us to help get this AI automation woven into the workflow, right? And so this is a little bit about the process, and I'm going to show you guys the code and kind of how we wrote it and what the outcomes are. But essentially, technicians today no longer have to go to eBay for anything at all. They go to this, little graphical user interface, single pane of glass, which I'll show you what that looks like. AI comes in, it analyzes the images of the laptop, it looks at their tech notes, and then it creates the listing for us. We've got some built-in system checks for quality control, and then everything gets pushed to eBay programmatically through the API. There's no prompting that has to be done by any of the employees. They don't actually interact with the AI or have to turn it on or have to do anything. It is truly fully automated. One other thing that we implemented as well is algorithmic pricing calculation, where no longer do the employees have to use our training to figure out how to price the item. That's all done programmatically through a scraping system that goes to eBay and looks at similar items being sold by other sellers or our own store, and then also looks historically at what those things have sold for in the recent past and comes up with a new price. And so the overall result of this was that we did end up reducing staff. We went from 6 total employees that were performing the testing and the listing down to just 2. With those 2 employees, we're doing the same volume numbers that we were previously doing with 6. Our sales actually grew, and our average sales price is actually more. So the results really have been a success, definitely beyond our expectations, and it's been really well. Listing time went from average of 10 to 20 minutes for a listing down to just about 4 minutes is all it takes for them to fill out this form, and then things get listed. Error rates have gone down dramatically. Our feedback has improved on the eBay platform. Things get listed just without error, and we do it with minimal staff. So just to kind of get in here and show you a little bit more of the detail about how we do this, let me just start by showing you an eBay listing. This was listed today. And here's the laptop that went up. It's a Dell Latitude 5410 laptop, the Intel i5, 16 gigs of RAM. This title here is very consistent with all the titles that we list. And then if we scroll down here a little bit more, we could see some of the item specifics. These are all filters that are the categories that someone, if they're looking for a specific unit, they'll be able to filter out on their search and find one with these types of specifications. The seller notes are listed right here. And just describe a little bit about the laptop. And then further down here, we have this little area, which is nicely colored, has the title, the specs, a little bit more about the description, has what's included, like the AC adapter, the operating system, the battery, and that's pretty much it. So this is the end goal here. This is what our listings look like. And now I'm just gonna kind of walk you through the workflow and how we got here. So first off, this is all developed in Python. There's no N8N, there's no tools other than ChatGPT API calls and Python scripting. I wanted to show you guys this custom GPT that I've really benefited from. I came into this not having known or being trained on Python. When ChatGPT first came out, I heard it was good at coding. I decided to get it to teach me how to use Python, and it's been an amazing experience. I highly recommend, using Python. It's an amazingly powerful language for doing all kinds of things, including this. And this GPT has been really good at, it wrote all the code with me for what we're going to be getting into right now, and showing you guys exactly how we put this together. The only piece of this that's not Python This is built in Microsoft Access. We've used Access here internally for the business for over 10 years. It's basically our ERP. It manages our inventory and our workflows, and that kind of thing. And so this is the single graphical user interface, the one pane of glass that our technicians now use instead of going to eBay. So what they do is they just go in here. Everything has a lot number associated with where we got the unit to begin with. And it might have a serial number or a SKU number. If not, our system will generate one for them. And this is just for our own internal tracking purposes. And so now the technicians, they'll come in here and they'll just start filling this out. So they'll just put the serial number. The asset type is just the drop-down menu. There's only a few to choose from. They can go in here and put the model number, the processor, the speed, the RAM, the hard drive size and type, and then just a little bit of notes. Like this laptop we just looked at on eBay is the exact one here that I took this screenshot from. The notes from the technician are, this unit is C grade cosmetic condition with noticeable scratches, scuffs, missing paint around the unit. The screen resolution is 1920 by 1080, and the unit comes tested with Windows 11 Pro installed. Then they put a little bit more information on this end. Some of this is just really quick drop downs, like the selling format is buy it now or best offer. There's one unit in here. It's not a lot. And then some internal stuff that we have, if we had to put any parts in here or anything like that. You'll see that the price that they put was $159, but if we go back to that listing, it got repriced by the algorithm that I mentioned. So I just want to jump right in now into the code and show you exactly kind of how we stitch this together. So there's one main.py. .py is Python. This is the code that runs this every single day. And so this code is hosted on a Linux server. We use something called a cron job, which is just a way to schedule work. And so every day during business hours, this cron job is scheduled just to come and look for files created from this. So when these guys hit this export button, when they're done filling this out, it matches up the unit here with the pictures and drops it into a folder in a network attached storage that we have. So it just goes into a file or folder. And this cron job is scheduled to look for any new data and start processing it if it finds a new folder in here during normal work hours. And so the first thing it does is it just runs this main.py, which is just a simple script. It's 62 lines here, and it's designed to run all of these scripts. This is the actual meat of what gets done here in order, each depending on the success of the previous. So if one of these fails, it will stop if it fails, and it'll just error out, right? And so what we have here, this first one is an app one. And so what that does is it goes through and it looks again for brand new data for it to process. Now, when they hit export, right, all the data that they just filled out on that graphical user interface you saw, it just drops into a CSV file. So everything that we have that you saw in there goes right in here, and it's just, 2 lines in this CSV. There's the notes that they wrote, and there's the condition, and everything else that you saw in there just drops into this CSV. So we have a CSV along with the images, and that's all the data that's in there that this set of scripts works with. And so it takes the CSV file, and the first thing it does is it creates an XML file. XML is a type of file that eBay accepts. It's what they need to create listings. And so first thing it does is it just, this first one looks for the new data. This second one here just creates an XML file, it's just a blank one, populated with a little bit of information that it took from that CSV file. And then here we have image XML. So what this one does is it takes all the images that are in that file and it pushes them up to eBay's image hosting, because we got to push all these photos up to eBay. So the first thing we want to do is get those images off of our servers onto the internet, which is eBay's image hosting, because this next script here is where we have a ChatGPT integration coming in. So it's better for ChatGPT to have the URL of an image. We found it a lot faster than if it tried to look at the images located on our servers. So we found the workflow here was to get the images up on the internet first, and then ChatGPT could come in here and start looking at these. So this is a script we have here. Again, it's all Python, and there's a API call done to OpenAI ChatGPT. As you can see here, the model is GPT-4o. And then the prompt is right here. So it basically tells it, this is an image or partial image of a laptop or desktop computer, sometimes a lot of laptops or desktops. When possible, declare if it is a single laptop or quantity of laptops. And then, so as you can see, this prompt is pretty extensive, right? It goes in here and it tells it everything that we want it to look for on these images, because this is going to be going through and looking at all of the images for that laptop that were just uploaded to eBay's hosting service. So it's going to go through here and it's going to look at all these images, right? And then it's going to write a description. And when it does that, the description gets saved into what we call a JSON file, which is just a text document. And so here's an example of the output of that script, where it just went through and just wrote a description on each one of those images. So ChatGPT wrote, single laptop with silver body, standard keyboard, includes a touchpad. I mean, it just writes a lot of details here. It can see the Intel i5 10th gen sticker. And then, if we look back at those pictures, you would see that this is a very, very good description of each and every one of those pictures. It's able to see the screen displaying the Windows 11 operating system, the Dell model, built-in webcam. It's just very, very good at coming up with these details. So that's the first GPT API call that we have in this set of scripts. So now that we have all those image descriptions, we go to this next one, which is description to JSON mini is what I'd name this one. And so if we go and look in here, this is another ChatGPT API call. And so the idea here is to take all the information from that CSV file that we just looked at. So it can look at all the different columns here with the notes and everything else. And look at the picture descriptions that the previous call we just looked at wrote about the laptop. And then we take all that information and then we feed it to another ChatGPT API call. This time it's GPT-4o mini. Now, of course, when we first wrote these scripts, none of these models were available. We were using different model calls, and it's been really easy for us to just come in here and just update the model as OpenAI has improved and come out with different models. It's very simple. You just drop the new model inside these quotations and the new model is up and running. A few times we've had to do a little bit more changes than that, but that's about it. The other thing that's interesting about this particular API call to OpenAI is that your helpful assistant designed to output JSON. So JSON is a type of text file that is formatted in a very particular way. So it's the same type of format every single time. And so I'll show you the output of this, but here's the actual prompt itself. It's all this green that you see below here. So, pretty significant prompt that we've honed in over the last year. Really haven't made a lot of changes to it in the last 8 months or so, but those first 2 months, we're really tweaking it here and there to make sure that it was meeting the needs here. But, we're telling it you're an e-commerce marketing expert tasked with creating a comprehensive and structured eBay product listing for a specific item. Use the internal notes as they may contain special instructions and important data. Read both the technical notes and the entire file of laptop descriptions for additional context and specifications. If there's conflicting data between the technician notes and the laptop descriptions, prioritize the technician notes. So it just goes through here and then it starts writing out the instructions for creating the product listing. And then we have the title, create an eBay optimized title using the following structure within the 80 character limit. Start with the make and model, followed by the word laptop or desktop based on the item type, and then include, and we go on to give it the exact structure and the way we want this to be written. And so when it goes through and it does all this, this is the output. This is the structured JSON output that we get that it wrote for that particular laptop that I just showed you. Dell Latitude, 5410 laptops, exact title that we saw there on that listing. It goes down and lists the key features and conditions, the processor, the memory, the hard drive, resolution, screen size, our SKU, serial number, and then cosmetic imperfections. It reiterated this unit is a C-grade cosmetic condition with notable scratches, scuffs, and missing paint around the unit. Has some additional notes here. Overall wear rating, conclusion, and then what's included with it. The AC adapter, the operating system, the battery. We've instructed it to always say battery is not tested and may not hold a charge. And then there was nothing not included. So from there, we have a few other operations inside the script. We need to create an HTML file, because if we go back to looking at the listing itself, which is right here, this section is actually an HTML file, just like a website. And so if we're going to pull that up, the file itself renders on a browser because it's an HTML. And so this gets created by that Python script. So it can go inside there. From there, I have a script called checker. And what that's designed to do is we found that there are times, probably less than 1%, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 0.5% of the time, where these OpenAI API calls fail. For some reason or another, they just don't write out the correct format. They're missing something, right? It's a very, very small percentage. And so I just have a simple script here that we call checker.py that goes through and it checks to make sure that some of those things that we're looking for that might not be there if it fails are there. And so what it does is it looks for common failure points that we find. And I say common, but they're not really that common. As I mentioned, it's only about 0.5% of the time, like if it's missing the SKU or something like that, right? So it'll check for these. And if it doesn't find them, it simply deletes some of the files that we've already created, and then it just reruns these. And I have that looped to rerun a maximum of 3 times, because nearly 99.99% of the time, when it reruns these up to 3 times, it's going to correct any of the errors that were initially in there on its own and come up with a finished product that's perfect. And then if it happens more than 3 times, chances are there's something wrong with the data. There's some other kind of problem. I don't want it to get stuck in some kind of loop. So if it still continues to encounter these errors after 3 times of rerunning these API calls, it'll just error out on the file, and we'll be able to go in and look and see what might have caused that error and fix it, fix the data, and then get it back into the system. So if it passes the checker, it goes into the CSV fill, which basically we're appending the CSV with the new data that it just wrote about the unit. So we can use our price algorithm here to basically go into eBay, do the eBay scraping that I mentioned, where it's looking for similar items out on eBay right now that are for sale, items that have sold in the recent past, and running an algorithm on that to create the new price. So that was the last piece of the puzzle that we needed for us to have a complete listing ready to go to eBay. So from there, we modify the XML file. Again, XML is just a big text document that has all the data, including the HTML file inside it, that need to go to eBay. It's the payload for that eBay listing. Then we'll do one last validator to make sure that this XML file meets eBay's requirements. We're not going to get any kind of errors when we push this to eBay. And then the last script in this sequence is eBay push fixed all. So basically it's going to push this up to eBay and then create the listing that we have here. And then it's up, it's for sale. Nobody had to prompt the AI or do anything. That those prompts are already coded in there. And so, you know, once they hit export, they walk away and get on to the next unit. In the background, all these scripts are running. And then, you know, the finished product is this gets just listed up to eBay using our automation. And so, as I mentioned, it's worked out really well for us. It's been operating in the business for the past year. The eBay managers completely happy with it and sold on the idea of eBay automation. We only ended up losing one employee of the ones that basically his jobs got automated away. The other ones moved on to our IT division, where they're doing help desk technician work and cybersecurity work. And interestingly, the employee that we lost, we have a standard practice of doing exit interviews. And on his exit interview, he wrote in there, he just put, the AI's got to go. And he just was not happy about, you know, AI automation in the workplace. And, you know, that was really the extent of the feedback he gave us. And I think there's just always going to be some people like that. Obviously, the AI is not going to go, and it's not going anywhere. And, you know, if anything, we're figuring out more ways to improve and continue to automate the business. But that pretty much concludes the presentation here. I hope you guys were all, you know, a little bit inspired to play with Python and do some eBay automating and get some APIs going of your own. And you don't necessarily need to learn a lot of these tools like N8N, and although that's great, don't get me wrong, but you know, you can just write straight code using ChatGPT, do some AI automations, and make some money.
Thank you very much, Greg, for this great demonstration. Very impressed indeed. First question from Miguel.
Okay, I just want, you have 2 employees that are doing this. What exactly are they doing? I know that they are putting they're filling the page in excess. That's right. What else are they doing?
They're doing the physical refurbishing of the laptop. So they take a laptop that came in from one of our various ways that we get this type of equipment, whether somebody dropped it off or we go pick it up. It comes from a business or residential. And so they get that laptop in. And first thing we have to do is we remove the hard drive from it, so we can do complete data destruction on the hard drive. And they'll install a different hard drive, either one that we wiped and checked that all the sectors are good, or a lot of times we'll buy brand new ones. And so they're doing the physical refurbishing of the laptop. They're even cleaning it up, you know, wiping it with a rag and getting that unit clean, installing a new operating system on it, fresh install of Windows. And then they're taking pictures. So that item goes into a photo booth and they'll take pictures of it. And then those pictures go into a file on the computer. Then they go over to that Access GUI, fill out the drop downs, write their little notes on there. And then as soon as they press export, that exports that data into that CSV in the same file that their pictures are located in. And then they're done.
Thank you.
Right.
Next question, Amy.
Well, Greg, that was so impressive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question about access. So, you know, even though you've got all this high tech and AI use, I'm just curious about you're using an old school program like Microsoft Access. So I'm just wondering if there is another tool or why you chose Access. And
Great
kind
question.
of reason behind it is because I use Access for something, and I've often wondered if there's something better.
Yeah, there probably is something better. You know, we could have used, you know, a web interface and built that really easily and quickly. The reason why we used Access is because we already use it internally to maintain our warehouse inventory. And so for some of our customers, we do an asset management piece of work that goes into the workflow before the eBay department ever sees that laptop. And so what that means is we might get in a couple hundred laptops from, say, a business, and we have to go through and we have to scan all those laptops into our access system. And we've been doing this for years and years, decade or more. And we provide a report back to them. These are all the assets that you gave us. And so if that laptop had already previously been scanned by a warehouse employee, it's already going to be in the system. And so when the eBay team gets it and they input the serial number into that access system, it'll pre-populate any of that data that we had already gathered in a previous step and just save them even a little bit more time. It's our full inventory management system. The other thing that we do is for some customers, we do profit sharing with them. So we subtract our expenses, or if we put in some parts for that unit, like a new hard drive or something, and then we take whatever we sold it for on eBay and we split the profit with that client. And so we use Access to maintain all of that. So we can just hit a button at the end of the month and figure out exactly how many units we sold for that customer, what our profit was, and how much money we need to wire them. And so it's just, again, it's part of our ERP system that we use for managing the entire business. And so we just kind of kept it in that ecosystem.
Thank you, Greg. I do have a twofold question for you. The first one is more like, how many man hours to design that, more or less? How many people, how many, what span of time to design it? Obviously, you have to refine it and tweak it a few times. I'm not even including that part as much, but to design it in the first part, and the second part of it. Well, let's go with number one first, if you go.
Yeah, so it was 100% built by just me, by myself, working probably about 20 hours a week for about 2.5 months of getting it implemented, where I would work, a little bit at a time. Again, 20 hours a week, because I run the company. I've got a lot of other things to do, so I couldn't devote 100% of my time to it. And getting that implemented into and integrated into our workflows.
Thank you. And you chose Python over whatever, Make, I don't even know, NA8 was not available then. The main reason, the key reasons for that? Because you didn't know Python initially. You chose to learn it instead of using other tools.
Yeah, I chose Python because I knew that AI was really good at writing Python. I also had done a little bit of research and understood sort of how powerful Python is at these types of operations. It's really great for this type of work. And so, it fit the use case really well, both because ChatGPT knows Python and can write it extremely well. I mean, it uses Python itself a lot now and spins up its own virtual environment and does Python work all the time. So yeah, I decided to use Python because I researched it and thought it could do a great job here for us and run on Linux, our Linux server, really well. So that's why I decided to go with Python. And since then, I've started learning TypeScript and React, and it's really expanded my confidence to be able to go use these languages to build cool tools.
Thank you. Mark.
Yeah, I thought that was a great presentation, and I love the journey you went on. I'm kind of going on a similar one. So my question was, I started using Python, then switched to C# for various reasons. That I found the user interface part of it on Python was not what I wanted, and like you, I had ChatGPT write the scripts. Not always correct the first time. I was kind of interested to know how much trial and error you got in writing the scripts. So that would be interesting. So I was very interested in the journey you got there. I'm probably going to switch to JavaScript in due course because I want it to be entirely web-based. And I didn't use Access because I didn't know it, and I had basically a free SQL database on my website. But great stuff, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, when it comes to Python front end stuff, it doesn't really write front ends. It's more of like a back end processing, data processing workflow.
There are a bunch of plugins you can buy, but or get, but I didn't think any of them were very good. So
Yeah.
I understand why you did that, and they're both what you might call memory safe languages, which is important to me. I didn't want to risk any malware in getting embedded in code.
Yeah, and Python's also not the fastest language out there, but we're not building an app that's going to be used by millions of people. Our operations, it can take an extra second or two, to operate, and it's not going to affect us in any way, shape, or form. And I used that GPT to code this all out that I mentioned, and I would copy and then just paste it over into my programming IDE. And then I would just test the code and then, take my errors and share it back. And so there was some challenges because I was using 3.5 at the time, which had a very small context window. So if my code got, over 100 lines, it became very unwieldy. I found that is the best practice was just to break it down into the smallest possible steps that you needed and could test with and get that step working, and then you could move on to the next step. I really had to whip the AI sometimes into writing out the full code because it liked to just tell you like, okay, now you fill out this part, so I really had to be like, no, you write it all out and argue with the AI back and forth a few times to make sure it wasn't trying to just,
because I had the same experience, Craig.
yeah. Yeah, so there was all that kind of stuff happening, and since then AI, of course, has gotten so much better. I've switched over to Windsurf today, where I do most of my coding, but it's still very similar in that you do have to break it down into the smallest possible steps to get it to operate that way, to really keep yourself from getting just a hairball of code and not knowing where the errors are, where to begin, where to start, where you are. So it's still always better just to break these down in the smallest possible steps, get those steps working, chase down the errors within those steps, and then move on.
Great, thank you so much. We are going to open the breakout room right now. I'm opening them as I speak. If you want to continue this conversation with Greg, please go to room number 1. Otherwise, you see the topics on your screens. Please join either education, ethics, tech, and don't see the screen anymore. I'm missing one. And we will see you again in 12 minutes. Where did the screen go? I can't see it anymore.
I'm not seeing the breakout rooms on this.
You're not seeing it?
I'm not seeing the breakout rooms on the screen.
I see them, but I don't see a room number 1.
Well, you see the title, continue the conversation on the same topic?
Oh, yeah, I see that now.
I apologize, yes, that's what I see.
Now I do.
Click on more, yes. Mind, every time I click on them, they disappear, so I can't read them anymore. I'm looking for them as well. But go ahead, guys. We'll see you back in about 13 minutes. There we go. Breakout room started. Education, ethics, tech development, health. We have people in about every room. Join the one you want. Dama, you find a room you like? Steve? Yeah. Well,
Hello there.
Rick, you just left at the minute somebody was jumping in a room.
All right. Well, I was just waiting there. I'll go back in there then and see if
Yeah,
somebody's
he's
still
there, he's there right now. Give it a shot.
Okay. All right. Education. Okay. All right.
right, welcome back, welcome back.
Well, anyway, Greg, let's continue the conversation a little bit more afterwards, because there's a lot more to say about that. So thanks for your response.
Gary, I'm sorry I missed your hand there. We kind of ran out of time, but happy to chat more on WhatsApp or anytime.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
Hope everybody had fantastic conversation. We have 3 minutes left, so I'm not looking to take the summary of the different conversation. I am going to pull the last poll, and the first one was what tool you use the most. Which one is what tools, category of tools would you like to learn more about? And then Brian, after that, you did mention also categories to focus on. Give you a minute just to branch on that. Good. What kind of tools, categories of tools would you like to talk about?
I paid for it.
There we go, to cover more. Few questions so far, few response so far. Okay, 4, 6, here we go, gearing up. Perfect, perfect. I'll leave it on in the meantime. Brian, totally open to what you were saying. Do you want to develop a little bit more? And nice to see you. I know you missed a few calls. Glad to see you again. Go ahead, categories, go for it.
No, I didn't have anything there. But I do have a request for something I would love to see in a follow-up doc. How to answer the question, is our data secure? So the idea is everybody comes up with all these companies that say, look, you know, how do I control my data? How do I protect my data? We had a little talk today about it, but one specific answer on how we might do that, I think would be very interesting.
Very interesting. So again, you were cutting off a little bit. Very interested in discussing how is the data secure?
How do we make our data secure?
Okay.
What would be
Okay. I see. Mark is already yes. So, but we definitely is what. Let's bring it. I'll either in a breakout room for next time we can do that, or in a topic. I'm more than happy to, or reach to Brian, Mark, Brian. Reach to each other or and create a little conversation, and then everybody else can join, and then we'll bring it back in the topic if you want.
Sure.
In one of the upcoming calls. Thank you so much. We have about a minute left. I see Rick, you have your hands up. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I'm interested in connecting with anybody who would like to connect about how the good of AI can improve brain function, structure, and neuroplasticity. I'll put the question in the chat if people are interested in that. And if you're interested, text your name to this number. And I'm going to be presenting at some point on this topic if there's interest.
And Rick, also put it in WhatsApp, because some people left already and some people won't have time, and we lose that. Here's the poll. I'll share it later on. Other than that, we have a website. David built a website on our behalf. I just posted the link. Let me put it again. Please take a quick look at it, and if you have any feedback, and you know whether it's great or whether you want to improve, let David know. It took his time to build it for us. Take a quick look, and let's continue to improve in that aspect. Connie, looking forward to working on this podcast with you, and hopefully this week. Thank you so much, everyone. It's 12:31. Greg, again, thank you so much, and congratulations for the tools you built. We learned a lot, and congratulations for your company. And have a wonderful week. Looking forward to seeing you on next Monday. And some of you, if you please join on Friday on the leadership call. We always need new voice, new opinions to make this call progress. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christophe. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Brian, how are you doing, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been sick for a bit, so I'm actually on my feet again, as they say.
Yeah, yep. And you're fully, or you're 80%?
No, probably 75. So
yeah.
Anyways, good to see
Will
you.
you be in Europe this summer?
I will be in Europe this summer.
Mostly Belgium?
I will be mostly in Belgium, but I do a couple events in Italy, and then I'm off to Brazil for a bit, and then I'm back in Brussels.
Okay.
If you're over here, come.
I'll be
What
in
would be
France for sure for a couple months and in Germany as well. And we have a very good buddy in Belgium. So I'll ping you on WhatsApp.
how close are you to Grenoble?
Say again?
How close are you to Grenoble? Because I have to do an
Oh,
event in
no,
Grenoble.
far.
Okay.
But no,
All
but
right.
I may go to, we'll figure. If I go to Belgium, I'm going to Cologne in Germany as well. So I'll let you know if it happens. It's a little bit easier than going to Brazil.
All right. See you later. Cheers, man.
Take care,
Bye.
guys. Rick, have a wonderful day.